Retail demand has reached its lowest level since July, having dropped by 5% over the course of the preceding 30 days. The retail industry is not currently performing at the levels that we would anticipate it to be at this point in time. However, I believe that this is something that could change as we move into the fourth quarter. At this very moment, the month of September has come to a close. When you consider that we are already so far into the year, it is crazy to think about. Please let me know in the comments if you guys agree with that. But in the meantime, I would want to extend a warm greeting to my XRP family and welcome you back to the CryptoZX channel. Because we have a lot to discuss, you should fasten your seatbelts and watch this video all the way through to the very end. As we get into the morning of Tuesday, which is the 30th of September, the last day of the month, we are beginning to observe the market beginning to move in a direction that is more favorable to the downside once more. The price of Bitcoin had a pullback over the course of the past few hours, which caused the overall market to lose ground along with it. One more time, none of us were very surprised by this. But if you look at the price of XRP right now, it is currently $2.85, which is a decrease of approximately 0.6% in the United States and a decrease of 1.5% in comparison to Bitcoin. The valuation is currently at $171 billion, and the trading volume over the past 24 hours is approximately $4.7 billion. As is customary, I would want to make it clear that the content on this channel does not constitute financial advice. If you are considering investing in cryptocurrency, you should always conduct your own research and due diligence. The ETF figures are going to be the first thing we discuss. As you are aware, the ETF trades approximately $518 million worth of Bitcoin. Moreover, around $550 million worth of Ethereum was purchased. Wow, as a result, the growth of Ethereum in this region is surpassing that of Bitcoin. Do we have a chance to see the beginning of the second round? Share your opinions with me in the comments section about how you personally feel about that. Now, however, let's take a look at this chart that is already here. During the fourth quarter, the bull run continues. As Quentin has stated, historical Q4 is on the way. Here we are once more discussing the bull markets that have occurred in the past. However, at the same time, there are a lot of people in the market who are currently stating that the 4-year cycle has come to an end. On the other hand, I am able to argue that I believe the 4-year cycle might be finished for initiatives that have the institutional demand element and that have that clarity behind them. Those have been adopted by institutions, but the vast majority of the cryptocurrency industry is still going to be affected by the bear market, and you can see this for yourself. 2017, we witnessed a tremendous parabolic run that was shattering to the folks who have been here since then. And that was something that, witnessed. In all honesty, that was something that was so insanely fantastic that it feels like it occurred yesterday. I am certain that anyone who has been here since then will agree that it is impossible to recreate what took place back then. What I saw was unlike anything I've ever seen before, but it's important to remember that the valuation for the overall market at the time was so low that it was practically insignificant. Be that as it may, the year 2021 was also a chaotic one. At the beginning of the year 2021, it was evident that a great number of meme coins began to go crazy, which other endeavor has gone completely FF the rails? During the previous cycle, Polygon Matic was a significant player. There were a number of major runners. But, to reiterate, there are now a lot of people projecting that. Okay, let's have a look at this, shall we? Following the implementation of the generic listing requirements, which replace the necessity for such files, the SEC government has requested that issuers of Litecoin, XRP, Solana, Cardano, and Doge exchange-traded funds, ETFs, withdraw their 19B- registrations. The SEC government has also informed issuers that withdrawals might begin as soon as this week. It's a major deal. Take a look at what Eric has to say on that topic, as there are a lot of people who have a lot of different perspectives about it. The odds are actually 100% at this point. The 19B- force is rendered meaningless by generic listing standards so that they can use it as their clock. In light of this, the S1s are currently awaiting the official approval from the Corporation Finance Department, and the change for Solana has just been submitted by them here. Be prepared for the arrival of the baby at any moment. So basically, people are suggesting that it is impending. It is very clear that there is a significant amount of time allotted for the month of October. Moreover, I believe that would be a very thrilling thing to witness. Consider what Eleanor has to say. It provides further context for people who are wondering whether the withdrawal is a negative thing. In a nutshell, the answer is no. The long answer is that when the government of the SEC approved the generic listing requirements 2 weeks ago, it eliminated the necessity for the exchange to file 19B4 forms in order to list particular token ETFs, which simplified the process in a significant way. Listen to what Vincent has to say. There is excellent news for XRP and other cryptocurrency exchange-traded funds. Aside from that, there was an initial flurry of purchasing. When it comes to the ETFs, I continue to be doubtful that they can generate genuine, demand-driven price appreciation. Totally agree with you on that point. Not every exchange-traded fund ETF is going to learn from Ethereum in the same way that Bitcoin has done. That is an excellent illustration to look at because Ethereum had the slowest start with almost no inflows at all. But take a look at what transpired in 2025. The most recent couple of months have been absolutely insane, and we have actually had outflows. I'm sorry, not outflows, inflows that have outweighed Bitcoin inflows, which is something that we need to keep in mind once more. Simply put, it is contingent upon the demand factor. And I do feel that some of these assets will gain that demand factor, particularly if you start to see them being embraced more and more and know as TradeFi and DeFi, start joining together and more institutions and banks start giving crypto to their clients. I believe that this will happen. On the other hand, I believe that here's the location where the effect of triggering is going to actually take place. However, without a doubt, this is fantastic content. A look at what Nate Garce's The New York Stock Exchange has to say is worth considering. There was just a meeting between the SEC, Crypto Task Force, and the largest stock exchange in the world. When it comes to the subject, you guessed it, tokenized equity. Obviously, you are paying attention at this point. Not at all. Tokenize the equity, that is correct. Understand what I'm trying to say here? There is no longer any need to wait for the stock market bell to ring. Again, if you tokenize equities, pretty much the beauty of that is you can trade and, this pretty much opens the door for worldwide, people to come on board and, take part of these equities. Despite this, the substance is really large. Keep in mind that XRP is a ledger. It is important to note that this does not necessarily imply that they will not be utilizing the XRP ledger. Nonetheless, it is that one-stop shop. Let's wait and see what occurs, but before we do, let's have a look at what Chats is prepared for. Cointober XRP, of course, you are aware that in terms of the timeframes for the SEC's judgment, it is going to be, October for not only XRP, but also Litecoin and Sol as well. Nevertheless, have a look at what Paul Adkin has to say. In the course of the SEC and CFTC joint roundtable discussion on regulatory harmonization, Paul Adkin has declared that today marks a significant turning moment in the history of the American financial markets. The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, and the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, have been operating in parallel lanes for far too long, frequently coming into conflict with one another. A fresh path is being plotted out for us. Incredible to behold. In addition, a great deal has transpired. 2025 is going to be a year that is written down in history. People fail to recognize that. An increased amount of attention is paid to the behavior of the currency. It is going to be written down in the annals of history. It is beyond comprehension what we have witnessed taking place in such a short period of time. Furthermore, you are obligated to provide credit where credit is due. As far as the domination is concerned, 58.9% is that percentage. BTZ, on the other hand, contemplating 112,900. As I mentioned in my other updates for today, we are going to have a great deal of volatility today. This is due to the fact that the monthly candle close is going to take place today, as was mentioned earlier, so we'll have to wait and see what transpires. With regard to Bitcoin, I would like to make a rebuttal about the confirmations on at 115. Even now, we have a great deal of time. There is a possibility of volatility, but we will wait and see what happens. In terms of the pricing of the additional item, it was clear that we were at the 23.6 percentage point mark. This was a really close call. We did get back into the 23.6, but right now we're finding ourselves back below it. This is due to, of course, what's happening with Bitcoin, but so far so good. Our confirmation zone is at $3, not exactly, but we did get back into it. People have already forgotten where the price of XRP was back at the beginning of July, and if you simply measure it from the level that we reached in July, which was on July 9th, once we passed the 38.2 level, the price is still going up. This is similar to how XRP is holding up in the broader scheme of things. According to what I'm seeing here, the third largest asset in the cryptocurrency world has a 21% value. It is going to take some time. We are going to attack this problem one step